Hi, in this video, I'll be solving this problem that was asked of me by a student who was in my Zoom class from Pakistan. Sleeping Beauty volunteers to undergo the following experiment and is told all of the following details. That means Sleeping Beauty will have exactly the same information that we have. On Sunday, she will be put to sleep. Once or twice during the experiment, Sleeping Beauty will be awakened, interviewed, and put back to sleep with an amnesia-inducing drug that makes her forget that awakening. A fair coin will be tossed to determine which experimental procedure to undertake. If the coin comes up heads, Sleeping Beauty will be awakened and interviewed on Monday only. If the coin comes up tails, she will be awakened and interviewed on Monday and Tuesday. In either case, she will be awakened on Wednesday without interview, and the experiment ends. Okay, so far we have that on Sunday, she goes to sleep, and then a coin is tossed. If it comes up heads, then she'll be awakened on Monday only. If it comes up tails, she'll be awakened on Monday, and then she'll also be awakened and interviewed on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, the whole experiment ends. And she knows that. Anytime Sleeping Beauty is awakened and interviewed, she will not be able to tell which day it is or whether she has been awakened before. During the interview, Sleeping Beauty is asked, "What is your credence now for the proposition that the coin landed heads?" All right, so first of all, I have a problem with this word credence here. I don't know what that means. It is not a technical term. It is not a mathematical term. So I sort of assume that it means probability. Basically, she has three possible ways of being awakened. So SB for Sleeping Beauty. She could be awakened 3 times. Of those 3 times, one came from the coin landing heads, and 2 came from the coin landing tails. So the probability that it was heads, knowing that she was awakened, is 1 out of 3. This situation here, where the coin landed heads and it is now Tuesday, nobody awakens Sleeping Beauty, so it's not part of our universe. Our universe consists of only the 3 check marks, and one of those check marks is from a coin landing heads. 2 of the check marks are from the coin landing tails. Therefore, there's a total of 3, and 1 out of 3 is heads. So my answer is 1/3. Now, when I told my student that my answer is 1/3, he says there are many people who say that it should be 1/2. And that also makes sense because it's not as if Sleeping Beauty can change the coin, right? So the probability of heads is still 1/2. I understand that argument. I just happen not to agree with it. And I think a lot of it, again, has to do with the word credence. It's vague. If you ask Sleeping Beauty, do you believe, right? The word credence means belief. So do you believe that the coin is 50-50 heads and tails? Then the answer is yes. I believe the coin itself is 50-50. But in this situation, I feel like the question is more like, now that you are awake, what do you think happened? What do you think happened before we woke you up? In that case, the better bet is to say, I believe the coin came up tails. There are 2 ways for the coin to come up tails, only 1 way for the coin to come up heads. So the probability of heads is 1/2. But the probability of heads, given that Sleeping Beauty was awakened, is 1/3. So I have a few ways of convincing you that this gotta be right. One way is to just run a simulation. So I did. Here's my code. I'm gonna simulate the experiment 2,000 times. And each time I will write down what the correct answer would have been if we asked her, guess what the coin did. So first we flip a coin randomly between 0 and 1. 0 would represent heads and 1 would represent tails. If the coin flip is 0, then I count the number of heads. There's one more heads. If the coin flip is a 1, then I count the number of tails, one extra tail. Well, if it comes up heads, she would be awakened on a Monday and asked, guess what we flipped? And the correct answer for her would be H for heads. If it comes up tails, then she would be awakened on a Monday and asked, guess what happened? And she would say tail. That would be the first T here. The first T here is for the Monday. And then on Tuesday, we awaken her again and ask again, guess what happened? And the correct answer would have been tails again. And I do all of that 2,000 times. So now let's run this. These are all the correct answers throughout the 2,000 trials. And you can see down here, the number of heads is 988. The number of tails is 1,012. So it is kind of 50-50. But the number of correct H answer is only half of the number of correct T answers. If she is asked, guess what happened? She would be 2 to 1 more correct in saying tails than saying heads. Now, of course, that was not the question asked. The question was, what is your credence now for the proposition that the coin landed heads? It's vague as to what the word credence means. If it means probability, knowing that you are now awakened, then the answer should be 1/3. Another way to sort of see that it has to be 1/3 and not 1/2 is what if heads, we awaken Sleeping Beauty 1 time. But tails, we're going to awaken her 1,000 times. Then since Sleeping Beauty knows this, right? She knows all about the experiment. Then she knows that if someone awakens me, it's very likely that it's one of these 1,000 times and not the single time over there. She should give a lot more credence into the coin being tails than into the coin being heads. The probability it was heads was 1 out of 1,001, and the probability was tail was almost guaranteed. If you get awakened 1,000 times when it's tails, I'm pretty sure it was tails. And so those are arguments that hopefully convince you that the correct answer here is 1/3 and not 1/2. And like I said, I understand the point of 1/2, but nah, that's just wrong. But if you think in terms of the simulation, you think in terms of this chart right here, where 2 of the possibilities go with tails and only 1 possibility goes with heads, you can think of this alternative scenario here where the number of times Sleeping Beauty gets awakened with the tails is a lot more, like 1,000 times more, then yeah, saying it's half and half doesn't quite make sense. So that's my Sleeping Beauty problem. Any questions, comments, or feedback, please put in the comments section below. Like, share, and subscribe for more contents, and thanks for watching. Bye.